kind. Rewind. This is Dope Nostalgia.
Everyone, welcome to Dope Nostalgia. It's episode 265, and I'm your host, Naomi. Today's special guest is a drummer in a band that was huge in the 90s and still continues to do their thing to this day, Sixpence None the Richer. Dale Baker. He's the man. He's amazing. He's here. Now, I also want to point out that he does have a drum lesson website. If you're interested in learning from one of the big experts, go check out durhamdrumlessons.com. Guy's teaching. He's very talented. And hey, it'd be cool to say you learned how to play drums from Sixpence None the Richer's drummer, right? All right, we're going to tell you a little bit of background information now on the band. Wikipedia moment.
Please bear in mind that Wikipedia can be edited by anyone at any time. If I'm reading you the artist's bio, then you know it's information straight from the source.
And this one is straight from the source because it comes from sixpencenoneTheRicher.com, not Wikipedia this time around. Sixpence None the Richer began taking shape in the early 90s in New Braunfels, Texas, when guitarist Matt Slocum met vocalist Lee Nash at a church retreat. The duo recorded a demo before eventually signing with REX Records. Their debut LP, The Fatherless and the Widow, was released in 1993, followed by their sophomore effort, 1995's This Beautiful Mess, which won a Dove Award. The Tickets for a Prayer Wheel EP soon followed. In 1997, Sixpence None the Richer released their self-titled album, and 2 years later, they skyrocketed to a global fame when Kiss Me was released as a single. The song has surpassed 1 billion streams on Spotify, placing the band in the elite billions club. Remarkably, over 33% of those streams occurred in 2024, demonstrating the song's continued reach to new audiences and sustained growth in popularity. Furthermore, in 2024, Kiss Me was certified RIAA Triple Platinum, following its Double Platinum certification in 2023. Featured in countless films and TV shows, the track catapulted Sixpence None the Richer into the mainstream, earning airplay in more than 10 countries. The accolades continued with the band's rendition of The Law's There She Goes, which also became a major hit. In the fall of 2002, Sixpence returned with Divine Discontent, and their cover of Crowded House's classic, Don't Dream It's Over, brought them back to the charts in early 2003. Although the group quietly disbanded in 2004, its members remained active individually, periodically releasing new music, including the albums The Dawn of Grace and Lost in Transition. Now fast forward to 2024, and the band reunited to release Rosemary Hill, their first EP in over a decade. Paste magazine praised the release, writing, "Sixpence are back and as catchy as ever. Rosemary Hill takes the band's rock roots and pairs them with a bit of twangy alt-tinged distortion." Additionally, in the fall of 24, the band embarked on a 50th city, 25th anniversary U.S. tour, selling out over a dozen venues along the way. In April of 2025, Sixpence None the Richer released their first ever live album, Live at Groon Hall, recorded at their sold-out hometown show at the legendary Groon Hall, Texas's oldest continuously operating dance hall. Sixpence has helped shape the musical landscape across generations and continues to bring their music, both new and old, to audiences worldwide. What a thrill! We've got the drummer of Sixpence None the Richer right here with us on Dope Nostalgia today. Time to welcome Dale Baker to the show. All right, welcome, Dale, to Dope Nostalgia.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, where are you based out of nowadays?
I live in Durham, North Carolina, and that's where I'm based from. Yep.
Yeah? How did you end up meeting Matt and Lee?
Well, you got to go all the way back to 1992, maybe 93. They had recorded a demo tape with my roommate at the time. And when that demo got released, it was like my favorite thing to listen to. I was just loved it. And it was only like 4 songs. And so of course I asked my roommate if they needed a drummer, and he said no, they've already got a drummer. And then the next thing we heard is they got signed to a small indie label. And then I ask again, do they still need a drummer? No, the drummer, they're good. And about soon after that record came out, they made it known that they were looking for a drummer. And so my roommate got me in touch with the band or with Matt, essentially. And I was living in Dallas, Texas at the time. And I drove down to Austin, auditioned for Matt in his apartment at the time, and got in the band. And yeah, and the rest is history. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Wait, you have a cat behind you.
Usually I remember to close the door of the studio, but he always likes to come in on the interview. So
Awesome.
meet Milo.
Hi, Milo. So where are you based out of? Where are you from?
I'm in Western Canada. I'm in Edmonton.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
We've already got a few inches of snow on the ground.
Awesome. Yeah.
Do you consider the music of Sixpence None the Richer Christian or gospel?
Whew. That's probably changed over the years.
Hmm.
Um, Man, that's a good question. I think currently, oh, I guess you have to define what is Christian. Are we talking about the industry? Like, where would you sell it? Like, where on the shelf would the music go?
Hmm.
Or are we talking about uh, something deeper, like a philosophy? Because we could completely go down a
Well,
crazy rabbit hole. But yeah.
yeah, I'm not really thinking so much about the marketing of it because it's obvious that there have been Dove Awards won,
Mhm.
and such, but more about like the lyrical messages. Because I feel like maybe it's like positive, it's definitely positive messages, and some of them are, secular about love and such, but like a song like Kiss Me, right? I think it's more of a message for everybody. But I noticed that you guys have won those awards and you have been marketed as a Christian band. So I was curious, as myself a Christian, what you thought of it.
Well, the early stages of the band, when they got signed to that label, it was an independent Christian label
Mm,
that was interested in being countercultural to, they were just trying to release great indie music.
mm,
And so Matt had found out about the label, gave them the tape, and then they were signed, you know, fairly quickly. As we got into the Christian, we would have all considered ourselves Christians back then. What we didn't understand was the Christian music industry. And as we started making money playing at churches, it was hard to play a club where you weren't going to get paid anything.
mm,
But then you could go play a church and make $400 just without anybody knowing who you were. So once the money starts rolling in, and this happens with a lot of bands back then, I think, is that you get into it because you just want to be in a band. You want to communicate your thoughts and write some good songs.
hmm.
And whatever you believe is probably going to show up in the music somehow.
True.
But you're not really thinking about it. Let's just get signed. And but then in that Christian subgenre, in that Christian market and that genre that we were in back then, you would be invited into a church and the music became secondary.
Mm,
And so they would want the lead singer to give an altar call, or, most of the churches that were hiring bands back then were evangelical. And so the youth minister would come up and say, hey, can you make a call for whatever? And we were clear that, hey, we don't mind talking about our faith or interacting with people one on one, but we don't feel like we have the skills or the calling to be people who would speak about God from the stage on like a corporate level. And
right.
so then we would typically tell the youth minister, but that's your calling. So why don't you come up and do the thing that you want? No, you guys are way cooler than me, right? So so that, it was just kind of like a trajectory from, oh, what have we found ourselves in? You start making some money and then you realize we can't go back to secular. Um, so what's going to happen? And so one Christian label led to another Christian label, which led to the label that, ultimately released Kiss Me.
Mhm.
And so back then, there were a lot of Christian music companies, media companies that were trying to release music that sounded secular but was Christian. And I
Yeah.
think behind some of that was we'll infiltrate the secular world and win them for Christ. Or, it was just like we'll go in as undercover agents and then somehow alakazam, they'll be Christians, and
Right.
and now I think it would just be it's a completely different world now. Back then that kind of made sense to somebody. I
Mhm.
don't know if it ever fully made sense to me, but I like the idea of being authentically who you are,
Absolutely.
regardless of what you believe. Um, and I think all I wanted to be a part of was a collaborative group that created art that was at the highest caliber we could reach for.
Mhm.
And I believed we were all super talented individually, but collectively we were a force to be reckoned with. And that's what made me excited to be a part of that band was that we could create music that was artistically on par with I'm a big fan of Peter Gabriel, and he would do these high concept concerts, and he would speak about love and relationships. And so
Mhm.
I thought we could do the band version of Peter Gabriel or whatever,
Mhm.
that was kind of my hope is that it could just be a more inclusive uh, art that we create and not specifically tied to a genre such as Christian music or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, where was I going with that? Uh, but yeah, the label that released Kiss Me, they were interested in marketing us into uh, the commercial markets. And
Mhm.
so we knew that our fan base, I think fully before, like a year before anyone outside of the Christian industry knew of us, they had they had marketed heavily to our base in the Christian world. And then they made a play, then they made a push to to get our song, more well known. And they were obviously successful, right?
The push worked.
The push worked. And it was really exciting to be on the front lines of the marketing of the band back then.
Mhm.
And it really felt like a scrappy outfit of music industry people that were really passionate about our band and about our music, knowing that we were the underdogs. There's no one's going to pay attention to us because we're too small. We don't have enough money to pay the promoters. And um, so we basically went to every radio station that we could and just played lunchtime concerts. So before they even played our song on the radio, we were like, "Hey, can we just buy you lunch and just play you 5 songs acoustically?" And they're like, "Yeah, I guess. I'm gonna set up in the conference room, whatever." And so we had a small PA and we played a killer acoustic set of
Mm.
5 songs. And if you saw that, it would be like, "Wait, what?" uh, I want to see more, but bye. And so the idea, and this was an idea that country artists did back then, was that 6 months to 9 months before they were going to release a song on country radio, the artist would go by themselves on guitar. They'd go into the radio stations, shake hands, kiss babies, and play their new song. Hey guys, in 9 months, my song's gonna come out. I'd love it if you could just get behind it. And so what Squint did, the record label that we were on, that was really progressive, I thought, really original, was they said, well, why don't we do that same idea, but with the whole band? And
Mhm.
it's never really been done with with radio stations like indie rock or college radio. But let's just try that. And we were game for it. And and it was great because you got to see, I'm really fascinated with how the music industry works and how a song, how a band goes from nobody to like, oh my God, they're everywhere. And so I was reading books back then about the industry, and we were getting to meet some of the people that were in the books I was reading. And so I was kind of like a little fanboy going, "Oh my God, we're going to go to this place and meet this promoter, and we're going to go to this station that broke this other band, back in the 70s. Oh my gosh, I'm
Wow.
living my dream here, you know." So uh yeah, but your question was, would I consider it a Christian band, right? Um and I would think that at its core, probably not.
Hmm.
But um, but to the extent I will, so here's a thought. This is a thought I've had is I don't think you can say I would like to be seen as a Christian. I'd like to be known as a Christian, but it's not up to you to decide. I think the Christian label is something that people see you and they go, that reminds me of somebody, um, Jesus Christ or whatever.
Right.
So I would say, based on my relationship with you and how I've seen you interact in the world, I'd say, yeah, you're one of those guys. You're a Christian, you know. Um, but back then, and like even now, I guess it's important to some people to have labels. And I think I think what Matt and Lee were doing, I think what we were all doing was playing music that felt authentic.
Mm,
I think Matt was writing songs as best as he could, and they were all based on his personal experience.
mm,
And I think what initially got fans interested in the Christian market is that his songs were depressing. And they like the first record was about the death, I think, of his grandmother and maybe the death of his dad and
mm,
just how miserable he felt, and to have such a downer of a band playing in the Christian world, which was all happy, hey, it's all going to be good, uh, was refreshing, and so I think that's what attracted people was like, hey, that they seem to be singing about honest, reflective things. Um,
yes.
yeah, and they're general enough that I can kind of almost put my story onto those songs and identify with them, like we were all doing with indie rock back then. Um, so I think, but when we started playing at churches and stuff, it becomes really important what your label is. And
Mm,
then they vet you with that label. Well, what do you believe? Could you play at our church? And if you believe like we believe, then you're good. So it becomes, yeah, it's you've got the label and then you've got the actual person of Jesus that
hmm.
you're trying to represent. And I think,
Which I think is more important.
yeah, and when you think about it, it's humbling because it's like, oh crap, I don't have a chance in hell to be called a Christian, But I would like to be someone who was as loving and as generous and um, inclusive as Jesus was. It didn't seem like he was pushing an agenda other
Right.
than being here, being now, being with you, being present, looking into you and seeing you for who you really are and connecting with your heart and through your eyes. So, yeah, so I think um, that's it. So to answer that question becomes a lot more difficult because you're just like, well, if I'm really serious about it,
Mhm.
man, I'm screwed. And I think in that humility, well, yeah, we all feel that way. And
It's
so
honest.
it's honest and authentic, and we can connect as two human beings. And
Hmm.
it's not me trying to sell you the afterlife. We have to kind of be in relationship for you to know whether or not I exemplify Christian traits. So I think the relationship comes first. Uh,
Hmm.
but as far as a marketing tool, they want to know, are you a death metal band or are you a Christian band?
Hmm.
I guess we'll be a Christian band,
Right.
but that because it's a commercial thing, it just becomes really difficult. The bar for Christian artists to have to sort of ascend to is so high that they're bound to fail. And you just see it time and time again. Like Christian artists, they're like spinning out. Of course they are, because they're being held to a standard that's impossible, and no one lives at this standard.
They're only human, like,
They're only human,
and
right?
and those fans can sometimes expect you to be too perfect. I mean, when you think about what happened, Amy Grant kind of broke it open with the first
Yeah,
time
sure.
someone went to secular.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think she received a lot of backlash for that,
Right, right.
but it worked out for her. And she was just being honest. So just the honesty is important. And I think that it means a lot.
Yeah, and we also were around, so Amy Grant, she was there, but then there's a guy, Rich Mullins. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he had written he was like a songwriter, but he wrote some really great worship songs.
Mm,
But so he was this kind of hippie guy. And he had is Rich Mullins and the Ragamuffin Band. And he would only tour for a certain amount of time during the year because he was in school getting a music education degree in Kansas. And as the industry was like, we want to do more with you, he kind of said, no, I think I'm going to go live on this Indian reservation because I feel more called to do that.
mm,
And so he was someone that we all looked up to because he seemed countercultural to the commercial aspect of what Christian music was back then.
mhm.
And his songs were deep and based on liturgy and the church count, or just there were just bigger themes that he was going after, and it was beautiful music and great stuff. But unfortunately, he died in a car accident and is no longer with us. Uh, but if you look up his music, if you've never heard Rich Mullins, some of his music is super overproduced, so it's kind of hard to get in. But if there's like a concert on YouTube or something like that,
Mm.
it's really great, like really great singer-songwriter music, really great artistry. So
Well, thank you for the recommendation.
yeah.
I read a quote of yours online that said, my playing on Kiss Me represents the understated and musical drumming that I strive to bring to all of my sessions. Now, how do you view your style as a drummer and your skills?
If you don't notice me, then I've done a good job. If you walk away thinking that was a great song and that vocalist sounds amazing, uh, then great. But if you go, wow, that drummer played a really cool fill there, so I kind of live in support of the song. Like all the songs
Mm,
that I love and that I aspire to, I first got interested in the song because of the singer or the lyrics or how it made me feel. And then probably the last thing on the list was like, oh, I wonder who played drums on this. And then you do your homework and you find out there's a whole like history of drummers that we've heard all our life, but they're not playing to say, hey, look at me. They're playing to support the artists that they play with.
right.
And so as I kind of got into those drummers and those musicians, it became, oh, there's these little tricks you can do to kind of make a song that sound like if you just played it on guitar, it would sound like every other singer-songwriter song. Okay, you're pouring your heart out, great, whatever. So what do you do with material that sounds just like everything else? What can I do, from a rhythm standpoint,
Hmm.
from an arrangement standpoint? How can we help this become special?
Hmm.
And uh, and I believe that we were able to. I think the bass player on Kiss Me, his name's JJ Placencio,
Hmm.
and it was partly and again back then it was the four of us created this alchemy at that time that was really interesting. The way JJ played bass and the way he felt his rhythms, and then the way I felt my rhythms, and then Matt had a specific way of playing rhythm guitar. When you put all that together, it was kind of funky, but not in like a I want to dance to it, but it was just kind of angular and interesting.
Yeah.
And so I listen back to Kiss Me, and I hear the bass line interplaying with Matt's guitar, interplaying with my drums, and I go, that's actually pretty cool how that all fit together. Um, but and the other thing I think is musicians were always trying to do little shout outs here and there, like little Easter eggs. And so back then it was like, well, okay, so we're writing a pop song. How can I make this feel like a pop song? And then you think about the Beatles and you think about all the pop songs you've ever heard. And well, how can we make this a little interesting? And so you put a little bit of yourself in there, hoping that that might support the song even more. And
Mm.
that's fun. It's a fun little game to play. It's like Sudoku for drummers. What can I
Yeah,
do? How can I add enough to make it interesting, but not so much that the focus gets pulled and now everyone's looking at the drummer, you know?
right. And I have a terribly huge amount of respect for a musician who can say it's always about servicing the song, putting the song first,
Yeah.
because some people can't do that.
Yeah, well, I think also there are two types of drummers, probably more, but I think there's some that are more technically oriented and they geek out on the technical aspects and how things fit together, mathematically and structurally. And then there's other drummers, such as myself, that I just want to feel good. Like so I have a lot of tools at my disposal, but what's gonna make this thing that I'm doing right now feel like it's from a place of authenticity, that it's coming from a heart, that it's emotive, right?
Yeah.
And, so that's the fun thing to chase. Is this gonna be something that feels like it connects, And so then to see Kiss Me connect like it did, and for it to be such an innocent song, and then well, to go back to our Christian conversation, you had all these Christian people that knew us prior to us being a commercial band, a secular band, as it were.
Hmm.
They they were trying to overlay a Christian meaning on top of Kiss Me. It's like I really don't think there's any sort of Christian, secret handshake going on there. I think it was Matt just trying to write a song, and
Yeah.
that's what came out. And the original demo for that song had another title that would have gotten us pulled from every Christian bookstore, and we would have been, you know, blacklisted forever. And so that's always been funny to me, is that the original version of Kiss Me did not have the word kiss me in it.
Oh,
It it was like I can't remember. He pulled some information from some poem or something. And I think the poem was like Incantation for the School of Witches or something. It was like super long and
oh,
drawn out.
wow.
And so like none of that was in the chorus, but that was like the title, like the working title had witches in it. And
Right.
so so it wasn't until we were recording it, I think Steve Taylor said, "Hey man, I think if you there's an opportunity here to make this a song about love or relationships. So can you come up with a hook line or something?" Right.
Hmm.
Uh, so and then the fun thing is that at that time when Sixpence released the record that had Kiss Me on it, that was the song we least expected to be that we least wanted anybody to hear, because we were going to be a kind of like a progressive arty band, kind of like just with more substance and not just like, hey, we're a pop band.
Right.
And so when you listen to that record, the first song, it's like the whole record's about we were on a horrible record contract and how are we going to get out of that deal? And so all the songs again are like dark and depressing.
Hmm.
And we wanted to make a really big art piece. So the first three songs, depending on where you listen to, they're all supposed to be part of one entire like 15-minute epic. And so one song bleeds into the next, which bleeds into the next. And then you get to Kiss Me, and that's the breather. And then after Kiss Me, then it goes into another trio of songs that bleed into one another. And then I think there's even another trio later on. But
Hmm.
so the original goal was this was going to be this epic art piece. And instead, the record label, and for good reason, said, we could do something with that song. So let's do that. Right. So
And then there it was, a huge
there it
hit.
was.
How
Yeah.
did you guys find out that it became number one?
Well, we were probably promoting it at radio stations on the road during that time. Um, I know the first time we heard it on a major radio station, I think we were in California, and we're, back then we didn't have phones, right? So we're just listening to the radio on the van that we're driving, and so we hear them announce it, and it starts to play, but we can tell that we're about to lose the connection with the radio station, right? Because we're just
Oh,
driving somewhere. And I think we were like we're about to cross a bridge or something. But I remember we pulled over because we all just wanted to hear it for the first time. It was kind of like that thing you do, when they're running down the street and they're all excited because their song got played on the radio. It was kind of like one of those moments, except we were all in a van, and and I was like, oh my God, we're being played on this. Being played next to some of our heroes on this indie rock
mm.
radio station. So that was a lot of fun.
What are some of the memories you have of visiting TV shows and performing, like the late night shows and such? And who are some of your favorite hosts?
Well, I would say the first one that comes to mind is that Martin Short. I've just been watching Murders in the Building, only Murders in the Building. So I'm,
Mhm.
big Martin Short fan and big Steve Martin fan. But Martin Short had a talk show for a short time,
Yeah.
and so we got to play on the Martin Short show, and they filmed it out of sequence. So the band part was going to happen before he did his monologue and before he did any interviews. And so we were getting ready for that. And the drums were somehow behind a curtain that were going to open up when we started playing. So I'm sitting on the drum riser with my back to the drums. It's dark back, it's kind of got some blue lights. It's dark and we're kind of waiting around. And Martin Short walks in to go get on the front of the curtain, and he sees me and he comes up. He goes, "Hey, Martin Short. Hey, thank you so much for being on the show. Oh man, God, I'm so excited." He was just the kindest. I mean, I'm just a drummer. Like he could have ignored me and that would have been fine. But he took just 2 extra minutes to come up and shake my hand and say, "Thank you for being on my show. It means the world to me." And
How
it's just
exciting.
that's really great. I aspire to be someone like that.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how about being at the Grammy Awards, 1998 and 1999 nominations?
Yeah, I went to the Grammy Awards once, and it was a bit of a trip just because we didn't have a chance of winning, but we got to walk the red carpet. We were able to see some of our heroes. I think I was waiting for a limo next to TLC at some point during that night, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and or it was like Lisa Lopez, or it was one of the people, and but that's probably not one of my favorite memories. And it was just because it's just a lot of noise, a lot of stuff. You kind of see how the sausage is being made. When you watch the TV show, it's one thing. When you're there in person, it's a whole other thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it was great to get a chance to do that, to have dreamed about that for as long, my entire life, and that was a great thing about Sixpence is I remember in high school going, man, it would be great to have a song on the radio, like whatever band was playing at the time.
Yeah.
That'll never happen. I want to be good enough to be on the radio. And so for that to happen, and then to get to travel the world playing the music that you feel is a part of you,
Mm.
that I cut my teeth on the music of Sixpence. And it's primarily because Matt writes songs in a certain way that I respond to with my history and my talent that makes his songs better.
Mm-hmm.
And JJ at the time, and they've got a new bass player now, same deal. Like his songs are okay. They get way better once you make the alchemy with the other people that he's playing with.
Mm.
And then same thing with Lee. Like it's no fault of theirs. It's just from a musician standpoint, I go, yeah, it's not just Lee and it's not Matt. I mean, they were talented. And also that drummer's pretty good. And that bass player is really great. But
Yeah.
they really are great when they're together and they're creating together. And that's what was exciting to me was like, oh my God, I'm getting to do the thing I dreamed about, forever. Um, and travel the world and
Yeah.
you go to all sorts of places. Yeah.
Doing what you love, doing songs you believe in, that is not many people can say they can do that. So,
Right. And then to do it from to go back to your Christian question, to do it from a non-agenda uh, uh, standpoint.
Yeah.
So, so much of the Christian music world and so much of evangelical Christianity was like, I'm going to become friends with someone because I have an agenda. And as soon as that agenda is complete, then we're no longer friends. I'm moving on to the next person.
Ooh.
And so what was fun about doing music at that level is that it became about relationships again. And so you meet real people who are authentic, who love the business just as much as you do and really want it to change. And they know how bad it is, but they're one of the good people. Oh, I'll tell you another story. We were on the back lot of Sony getting ready to do another TV show. And there's like five or six of us standing outside the back of this. It was the Donnie and Marie show, right?
Nice.
And we're standing there, and the PA comes up. When we see like um, one of those campers, whatever, Airstream trailer,
Right.
and a PA comes up to us and they go, "Hey, listen, yes, that is Tom Hanks's trailer. Yes, he is on the lot today. He is going to be walking around here at some point. When he walks by you do not look at him, you do not talk to him, you don't exist. You just let him do his thing." Okay, we get it. We get it. Totally, totally. We've been around this enough to know just we won't engage. And so sure enough, 5 minutes goes by, Tom Hanks comes around the corner and we're like, oh shit, there he is. And we're trying to not make eye contact, but he just zeroes in on all of us. And he walks straight towards us and goes, "Hey guys, what's happening?" Just like Martin Short would have done. Yeah. And he's just like, "What are you guys? Are you doing the thing with oh yeah, great. So you're a band?" And we were like, "Yeah. And can we talk to you?" "Oh God, yeah. Do you want a photo? Do you want a picture with me?" He was just so gracious and kind and lovely. And again, that was one of those things where you meet someone who's at the top of their game and they're the nicest person ever. And
Yeah.
uh, that's something to aspire to make it through all that you have to go through to be good or to be known and to somehow come out on the other end and be somewhat normal. That's that's really amazing. Not
It
everybody
is.
does that, right?
That
So
showrunner probably says that about every big Hollywood star, just to make sure that they're not bothered, you
I
know?
think what it does, I mean, I've seen that happen multiple times, and I think what it does, it gives the star the ability to engage or not engage.
Right.
And but if they are the kind of person that, you can kind of feel that when someone's looking at you and they've been waiting. I remember we went on tour last fall and we are playing at a club in Seattle, and there were people lining up midday with albums to sign.
Mm.
And they waited until showtime. I mean, they're standing outside in November or December holding albums, just dying for a connection with the band. And
Oh, I love it.
it was so great to meet these people and hear their stories and just be there with them, regardless of why they were there. Sometimes there's a whole thing of people wanting to get the album signed so they can sell it on eBay. And it's like, I don't I don't care about that. I'll sign your if that's going to help you pay this month's rent. I mean, God, if that's all I can do, that's the least I can do, then great, I'll do that. I don't care.
Hmm.
And then also, like, tell me your story. What is it about our music that makes you want to stand here for 6 hours? I used to be a fan like that with the bands that I was into. So I'm
Hmm.
getting to meet myself essentially and be the nice person to them that was never, when I was meeting my heroes, they didn't want to talk to me. So it was fun. It's just fun to be in a position to to meet someone where they're at, to offer them kindness and to share in the joy that they feel. I know what it's like to be a fanboy and to
Hmm.
see it reflected in someone else. I know exactly what you're going through right now. It's cool. Let's just enjoy it together. I'm glad that I get to make music for you. And I'm so grateful that you're here paying a ticket to see me play. You're helping me be more of who I am. And you're allowing me into your life to share my artistry and my creativity with you. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
I love that groundedness. And it's fun being a fanboy or fangirl. I think that we should all maintain that level of excitement for the things we love.
Yeah, that sense of just joy, like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's nothing
Mhm.
beats it. And so to feel like somehow you have to shut that down to be professional or to be, I don't know. I think we all deserve respect and kindness, and it doesn't, it's not that hard to offer.
As
So
long as
why
those
not?
people are respectful about boundaries, that's what's important. But like doing it in a respectable way, love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's so awesome. Yeah.
There she goes, there she goes again, racing through my brain, and I just can't contain this feeling that remains. There she goes again. Pulsing through my veins, I just can't contain this feeling that remains. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hello, listeners. It has been such an experience doing this show for the last 5+ years, but it gets expensive. If you didn't know, there's a lot of costs that go into making a podcast. That's why we have our Patreon page, patreon.com/dope nostalgia. That's where you can go and subscribe, get all the extra details, bonus videos, and early podcast release for as little as $1 a month. Please subscribe today and help support one of your favorite podcasts.
Yo, this is Scotty G,
I'm DJT,
I'm HB.
and
and
we
you're
are the
listening to Dope Nostalgia Podcast. Oh,
Dope Nostalgia. Y'all don't get it? Y'all got it now. And be dope, because it's nostalgeristic.
Go get that, go watch that, do whatever you need to do. Dope nostalgia. Funk Bees, Funky Bunch, world famous Funky Bunch. There it
world
is.
famous Funky Bunch because testing the mic's a pleasure. Dope now
Teeth booty.
nostalgia. Oh,
On the 80s and 90s Uncensored, listen to card carrying Gen Xers Milo, that's me, and Jamie.
And that's me. On the 80s and 90s Uncensored, we banter, debate, and discuss various topics from those two glorious decades.
If you're old enough to remember those years, or if you're a fan of the era that defined American pop culture today, then you'll love the 80s and 90s Uncensored.
You're a miserable middle-aged office worker, and your life sucks, and essentially you don't have anything to look forward to. At least one day a week, you have the 80s and 90s Uncensored.
New episodes released every Monday.
Subscribe where you get your podcast.
Know what? Heat makes it happen. Hypercolor clothing changes color with heat. Only by Genera. Like this. Got it?
You returned in 2024, correct? Then did the 25th anniversary tour?
Yes, that is. It took us about 2 years. It was sort of Matt's idea, and Matt and Lee were sort of dragging their feet on it, and so then uh, I started pushing it forward. And here in North Carolina, there's a manager that I got in contact with. I'd done some work with him back in the past, and he reached out, and I said, "Hey, we're trying to get Sixpence back together. I don't know how we're going to do it." And so he kind of talked me through how to get Matt and Lee engaged. And 3 or 4 months after getting him involved, Matt and Lee are now engaged. Or not, they're interested in being involved.
Mhm.
And so the whole thing just kind of built from there. And I think it took, it was about 2 years of work.
Mhm.
And around the start of the second year, we recorded new music that was eventually released and started rehearsing for the tour. And then a year ago, around this time, We did a 50 city tour. I think we did probably more than that, 55 cities,
Oh, wow.
playing all of our original music and then the new music that we had recorded. And on top of that, we recorded some new Christmas songs and re-recorded some old Christmas songs that Sixpence had done. And so it was a great it was a great arc to have been in the band at the beginning, to have left the band, and for that time to be not not great, and to have done all the work in the 25 years since to be like, oh, I know who I am. I know what I'm about. I know what I have to offer. And let's do it. Game on, man. Let's go all in. And so we did. And it was so much fun. And to the challenge of doing 55 shows and to try and make each show as good as the first show you played and as good as that last show you're going to play.
Mm.
My goodness, that was such a rush to it's just game time every night. And you're looking out on the crowd of people and their eyes are welling up with tears. You see I met so many people. It was like grandma had been a fan when they were a teenager, and now their kid and their kid's kid, they're like three generations all standing out there just soaking it up because they never got a chance to see us back in the day. If the we were playing clubs and seeing a band in a club as opposed to like on the Lilith Fair on like a big stage, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
And most of us saw all of our favorite bands first in a club, and then we later saw them in a stadium or whatever. But none of our fans got the chance to see us, a very small portion of our fans got to see us in a club because back then the demographic ended up being 13-year-old girls. And
Mhm.
so 13-year-old girls are not going to come to the club that you're playing at on a Wednesday night. And so we couldn't sell a ticket to save our life, right? And we sold plenty of records and we were on plenty of TV shows and people saw us, but we couldn't sell a ticket because our fans were too young. And so, fast forward 25 years, all those fans are growing up and they're like, thank you. Oh my God, I was hoping this was going to be good, but you're blowing my mind. I had no idea it was going to be this good. And it was such a gift to be able to bring ourselves authentically like that, playing this music that we love, knowing that they love it. And they were coming with their energy, we were coming with our energy, and it was just the best. It was so great. It was everything you hope to do as a musician or hope to be a part of as a creative person. It's like I'm sharing my music and you're sharing. There's no us or them. It's like we are all doing it together.
Yeah.
And, oh, it's so great. So much fun.
It's beautiful that you had the opportunity to go through that again together. I love it.
That was great. Yeah, definitely.
What's your personal favorite of the albums you released in the 90s? Now, The Fatherless and the Widow you weren't on, right?
Right.
But then This Beautiful Mess and the
Yeah.
self-titled album. Of the
Yeah.
three, which album do you enjoy the most?
Man, I'm a different drummer on like each of those records because there were different people in the band at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I listened to those records, I remember the drummer I was at that time and all the pressure we were under. It seemed like every record we ever recorded, it just felt like it might be our last record.
Mm.
And we might not be good enough to keep doing this. And so you're just hoping you're going to be good enough to make it to the next record or whatever. So I would say, man, it's really hard because Tess was in the band for This Beautiful Mess, and she brought an energy on guitar that we never were able to replicate.
Mm.
And she was the second female vocalist, and her voice with Lee's, again, it was that alchemy of two voices, of her presence. Tess just had this presence. And so in the studio, as we're all playing together, again, that alchemy's happening. And then so when you get to the next record, she's not there. We've got a
Mm.
whole different, we've got some new players, and it looks like the band might be breaking up. So we're all thinking a lot of different things. We're not sure if we're going to get onto a new record label. And where we were recording was not even a real studio. They had just sort of found an old studio and they were sort of trying to upfit it as we were recording.
Oh,
So, the fluorescent lights were blinking, and I think it was like February, and it was just raining, and it was the darkest, most depressing thing. And you're showing up to do a record, and you hope it's going to be good, but you're like, I hate everything right now. It is so dark, and
oh,
and so for so much good to come out of these times that felt really dark, it's just really interesting to me how it good art comes from um, a hot mess. And
a
what I've
beautiful
experienced,
mess.
thank you very much.
Had to.
Yeah, yeah. But I feel like when I'm creating something or I'm a part of a production, it's always a question mark whether or not that production is going to get finished. There's
Mhm.
always some drama. There's something that's not working right. There's just all this chaos
Yeah.
happens. And then if you can just keep pushing through all that chaos, then you get a finished product and you get something. And you forget about all of the crap you had to go through.
Right.
And then you're like, let's do another one.
We'll do it again, like having a baby.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't know, but I would assume. I
That's
would
what I
assume.
hear.
Yeah.
Um, do you collect vinyl?
I don't. Is that okay to say? Because then it's
Absolutely.
like if whatever coolness factor I just gained, I lost it by saying I don't collect vinyl, right?
Nah, you know what?
Yeah,
Most of the people I ask that question to don't,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Um, but it makes sense. Like, I mean, it takes a lot of space, right? So some people don't want to invest in that, and that's understandable.
I like the intentionality of playing an album, but I currently don't have a record player in my house, and I've got too much ADHD to take the time to actually listen to an entire side. I'd probably put it
Yeah.
on and then like leave and go run an errand, and it'd be like, oh yeah, I was listening to that record. Or like, why am I sitting here? I should be watching Netflix or something, right?
You know what
So
I've noticed with a lot of the reissues that some of them are double albums that only have 3 or 4 songs per side, and you're sitting there flipping constantly. But
yeah,
but the originals that were OG on vinyl, that's more of a proper length album with just one album, right? So it's not as taxing that way.
I think part of that too with the re-releases, I think there's a fidelity level, like by having fewer songs. I I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think it's
Hmm.
you get better audio. I don't know,
Probably.
like some nerdy, thing that
It's
makes that
true.
listening supposedly better than what you had originally.
A
So
fuller sound.
I do love the thing about albums that I love is that there's more space to put artwork and put liner notes. And I really miss reading liner notes
Mm.
and getting a history, getting a story. Usually on the back of those albums, there'd be like you'd get a sense of where they recorded and how they recorded it, and you'd see all these additional names, and that was one thing I really loved about albums. And CDs kind of had that too a little bit, but I kind of
Hmm.
miss that sitting down, listening to like that's what you would do. You'd put the album on and you'd open up the gatefold and you'd be reading through as you're listening to the music and you're reading the lyrics and because it's
Yes.
on an album, you can actually read them. You're not having to like get out your magnifying glass and um, yeah, the whole thing was like an experience. It was like ritual,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, and that was great. But it's hard to get back to that. So
True. Everything's too convenient now.
yeah, yeah.
Did you ever sign up for Columbia House?
Oh yeah, probably multiple times, right?
Do you
Oh
remember
yeah.
anything you
Well,
got from Columbia House?
oh my God. So the reason, okay, I think this is true. You might have to get this vetted by somebody, but what I heard is we got platinum status in Sixpence because of some sort of Columbia House thing.
Really?
And so for a really long time, it was like, you can get this album for free at Columbia House. There's something in there where they got the numbers pushed higher up because of these record buying clubs, I think.
Oh,
And And so, so you get this,
Yeah.
you get a platinum record, you get a gold record, and you think this is great, and then you hear a story like that, and you go, well, wait, was it not real then? Like we had to kind of hack our way into it. Um, but I think however you can get gold, however you get platinum, man, it's all right. That's just how the game is played.
It is a game.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
true. What was the first album you ever bought?
I think it was, yeah, it had to be this. It was the Kids from Caper. And Caper was spelled C period, A period, P period, E period, R period. So it stood for something.
Mhm.
And it was a Saturday morning TV show, kind of like the Monkees. But it was like if you had the Monkees and the A Team together, you
Yeah.
mix them together. And so you have a crime fighting detectives who are also musicians. And so there are four or five distinct characters, and at some point in the show, there would be a song, and they'd all be singing and playing music together, and then somehow they'd go back to crime fighting, and it didn't make any sense, but I just loved that show, and they had a breakout hit called something about, I think it was called Hurricane. And it's like, it's like the girl came in like a hurricane and I didn't know what to think of anymore. Like my brain was blown and whatever. Um, and I can tell you a story about that if you want to hear it, but it's kind of long. Um, I'm going to tell you anyway. So
Go
it
for
was
it.
the album was produced by David Kirschenbaum, who was a big producer back in the 70s. And when Sixpence was blowing up, I went home and I went through all my old records. I was like, oh my God, the Kids from Caper and the Hurricane song. Oh, love that. That's great. And then I saw the songwriter for the song was Paul Schaefer, who was
No
the music
way.
director for David Letterman, right?
Right.
So when we played the Letterman show, we're leaving. Paul's shaking our hand. I'm going, hey, Paul, I just want to really quickly, my favorite song is the Hurricane song. And he goes, oh, that was with Kirschenbaum. Like, oh my God, yeah, I totally remember that. That was a long, whatever. And it was such a deep cut to connect with someone.
Mhm.
But that was that was a moment where I was like, oh my God, that's really great. And then, second story to this, if you're able to find a clip of the Hurricane song.
Oh, I'm looking for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's great about it? So, well, I don't know. Another connection here is that the love interest that he's singing to on the Hurricane song is Tom Hanks's current wife. So Rita,
Rita.
yeah. And so it's like a young Rita, like she's probably like 16, right? This is like one of her first acting roles, and it's like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you.
This
But
is so full circle.
it's so how's that for wrapping it up, right?
um, what were your favorite 90s magazines?
The thing I was No Depression, which was the Americana genre was just starting up around that time. And
Mhm.
so those were all the really cool singer-songwriters, people doing old-time country. Uh, so I really connected with that world.
Mm.
And we were living in Nashville too. So it was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go see that artist. And the reviews were always really good. So I would find out about new artists and new music through No Depression. And the other uh, magazine or whatever was is college. What was it? It was a there. It had like three letters, but it
Mm.
was like the college radio magazine or something. It felt industry, but it was like wasn't.
Not
And
NME, right?
no, but it was something like that, but a smaller format.
Okay.
And it came with a CD. And
Ooh,
so each month you'd get this magazine and it'd be like, here's all the hip cool bands. CME or CM, I
this
want to say
sounds familiar.
it's like I want to say I was like, it's not CCM, it's not CMA,
Yeah.
it's and then they'd have a conference every year too that was like a networking event. And if
Should I
your
Google
band
this?
Yeah, I think it would just be,
Okay, let me see.
what was it? College radio, maybe it was like CR
I'm saying magazine that came with a CD.
college radio.
CMJ.
CMJ. Thank you.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah. And that I'm still grieving the loss of that particular magazine because I found out about so many new bands through that source. And of course it's vetted and people are probably paying for placements and whatever.
Yeah.
But it was such a great uh, glossary of bands to check out. And so I'd go out and you'd always buy the CDs from these people, right? So you're buying, or you'd hear the initial track on the CD that came with the magazine, and then if that was good enough, you'd go out and buy the full length. And I found out about so many bands that way, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you just unlocked a core memory for me. Thank you.
Yeah. So were you into that? Did CMJ, was that a thing for
That
you?
is a magazine I remember getting,
Yeah.
or at least when I would go to look at magazines because I was obsessed with them as a teenager.
Yeah.
I would definitely see that one all the time. It was more expensive than some of the other ones, so there'd have to be somebody I really wanted in there if I were to get permission to get that one. But yeah,
Yeah. 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 It felt a little more focused than some of the just the other music mags. Like, you know, it was like this is the song, this is the artist, this is our review, on to the next one, on to the next one.
yeah.
Yeah.
What goals lie ahead for you right now? Any session work? What's going on currently in your world?
Well, the loves of my life are drumming, obviously, and so I have a home studio here.
Mm,
Uh, But connecting with other people and collaborating on music is just everything I live for.
mm,
And so I'm always looking for people to either create music with or to produce. I've produced several projects and albums and things like that.
mm,
Uh, so I like the collaborative process of recording, and because I've got a home studio, I can do it remotely. I also play guitar, and writing songs is a big part of what I like to do.
mm.
And so putting together a new album of songs, I put out an album several years ago, and you can find it on Spotify.
Yes.
But the other part of making music is the production, the arranging of it, and again, sort of getting back to that feeling of emotion.
Hmm.
And what do we have to do with all the pieces? How do we put them all together so that you as a listener feel something? And it's fun to sort of pull ideas from my background and from, you know, all my years of doing music and to try to make a singer-songwriter sound like a little different than every other singer-songwriter, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing I do that I'm really proud of is I work at a church, strangely
Excellent.
enough. Yeah, it's great. And isn't it strange? But I am a worship leader for middle schoolers and high schoolers at a church in Cary, North Carolina. And so each month, you know, several weeks a month, I put together a volunteer band, a band of volunteer musicians, and we play music for middle schoolers or
Mm,
high schoolers. And there might be 25 or 30 students in that room, but it brings me as much joy or more joy than playing with Sixpence last year on a 50 city tour.
yeah.
And it feels like home to me, and I get to see the volunteers improve as musicians. I allow people who don't feel like they're good enough to become good enough.
Hmm.
And because of my music background, I can see potential where they may not see potential. And in other bands or in other sort of environments where they could volunteer, they may just get kicked out. And so it's great to get to develop as a band leader, as a singer, and as a coordinator of people. But there's something about singing for something bigger than yourself, whether that's God or it's the 25 teenagers that you're just like, I hope they enjoy this, you know.
Yeah.
And because you know, truth is I can't, regardless of what I ever do, I can't escape the fact that I was raised in a Christian culture and that I drank the Kool-Aid. I was all in on it. And so that's always going to color anything I do. And as I've gotten older and I've sort of reflected on it, it's like, what was it about your Christian experience that you loved? And it was that feeling of community. And it was my choir director from the first church that I attended, like being a little kid and being in the choir. And he would figure out ways to involve us, even though we weren't ready to be involved. He'd be like, why don't you just play the triangle over there, buddy? And just every
Mm.
time I do that, you play it. And so I think some of my happiest times have been in the church, and being a part of a collaborative group with a mission that's more than just for our own gratification. So if we accomplish
Yeah.
the mission, we'll also be gratified. But this isn't just our thing. This is like the entire room's thing.
Yeah.
And from doing the youth group work, it was being on tour with Sixpence was interesting because it felt kind of like youth group. Like the same energy was present. Like, oh, this is a community of people. We're here for some reason,
Hmm.
but we're all involved. The way we do youth group is like all the kids are just part of the choir. So I'm not actually singing. Like my whole goal is like I'm not on a stage. You're not here to see a concert. Like you're actually part of the band. So we're all doing this together. So I actually need you to participate because it's not going to sound as good, right? And so it's fun to just try to create that community and that collaborative environment
It
and
really
to see,
teaches you how to be a team player. All the
yeah,
kids involved and everything. Yeah.
I think we're so much better together than we are separate. And like COVID and different ideologies and politics and all that, it just separates us so much. And it's
Mhm.
like you can kind of see it through the internet. It's like, well, we want to connect, but that's not like real connection. It's like the in real life. Like I'm in this room with you right now, and we are experiencing something together, and we're going through life together. I'm going to see you next week, and that I think I keep coming back to that. It's like, oh, I need real relationships in my life. And as much as being on tour was fun and great, and I would do it again if I got a chance. And I either knew someone in every city we played at, or I met a new friend. I was always
Mm.
hanging out with people. Like we would get done with the show, and I just jump in the crowd and talk to people and hear their stories. And those are great. And I would consider all those people friends, but they're not my community. Like next time I'm in Portland or whatever, I'll see that guy again and we'll go get coffee and it'll be great. We'll pick up
Yeah.
where we left off. But we don't talk to each other every day. But these people in my church, the people I surround myself with, the students that come in for drum lessons, those are the real relationships. That's the real community I get to experience. And being a part of that, not having that years ago and not even knowing that that was something I wanted, to have it now, it's just such a joy and such a gift. And um, yeah, and just to get to still make music after all these years, and to be able to pour myself and my experiences and my knowledge to be able to impart that to other people, to meet them where they're at and
Hmm.
help them achieve what they're trying to achieve and encourage them, instead of putting a bar up there and being like, no, you're not good enough, but say, no, come on in. Like we were all never good enough. Um, so just being able to hold space for everybody and to see that you're just part of just a united whole. It's like I I want to help people get to wherever the next level is. If I to the extent
Yeah.
that I can do it, like yeah, I want to help the next generation, and I want to keep doing what I'm doing. And I get to do a lot of really interesting musical things, and it's great that I have this background, having played in Sixpence and all of that stuff. But the the things I'm doing, the future goals are just keep doing what I'm doing, which is teaching drum lessons, working at the church, writing
Mhm.
songs, and producing other people, making good music.
I'm happy to see all these wonderful things that are part of your life. And I thank you so much for sharing that and inspiring us today.
Well, thank you. It was nice to, make the connection over Instagram or whatever, and
Yeah.
for us to finally, get our schedules to align and to make this happen. So thank you for the conversation and for the interest and for walking down memory lane there. So it was a lot
Oh,
of
it was
fun.
an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You know I need all the love you give a loser like me. I just don't know why you would give it for free when I don't deserve it. You know now, I wonder why you wouldn't want to charge a higher price. You take a loss and still give another try, knowing that someday we'll find each other. Always saying your love is fine, and I am the wood that burns inside. You're warm in your blood. Without you, I fade away and lose it just like me.
You can follow Dope Nostalgia on Instagram at dope_nostalgia and YouTube at Dope Nostalgia Podcast. Call and leave a message on our voicemail toll free. The number is 1-888-741-9192.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work. Hey, friends. I kind of miss getting those messages on my answering machine like we used to back in the day. What I'd really love is to hear from you, the listeners of Dope Nostalgia. This is your chance to be on the show, giving feedback, telling us what you love, what you hate, and who you'd like to see more of. Call us at our new toll-free number, 1-888-741-9192. Leave us some feedback. Your message could be played on the show. So give us a call, 1-888-741-9192. Toll free.